Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's spend to talk about do the right thing, because it's a movie that you talk about technology and talked about communication, and in your film, the character of Sam Jackson was the voice of reason.
Yes, he was like the narrator.
Yes, but
Mr. Senior loved that.
yes, and
Samuel Jackson.
is the perfect example that what you can implode a community if you have the technology of speaking of the microphone in your hand, or you can cool down, you can manage that. And I think that narrator do that very well. It's a very good example of that, you know.
I mean, that was a movie. I'm not going to say that everything I've done, can happen in real life. But I think that what I wanted to show with that film is the film was shot on one block in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn, New York. So we wanted to show all those people that lived on the block. Black people, Puerto Ricans, and you had the Sal's famous pizzeria, where you had the Italian Americans. So it was a mixture of New York City.
Yes, it's remember that there is one question that I never could respond to my students. I will give that question to you. There is, how is your creative process?
Okay, I'm going to answer this as if you're in my classroom in Manhattan, New York.
Thank you.
What I tell to my students is that just because I say something, just because I did something, does not mean it's going to work for you. Everybody has to find what works for you, and the stuff you can use that I tell you, use. The stuff you can, don't. We're all individuals. For me, my creative process, my creativity, I attribute to God. God is a spiritual force. When you see Muhammad Ali, the way he boxed, Michael Jordan, Pele, Ella Fitzgerald, Michael Jackson, James Brown, you go on and on and on. You are seeing God's gift that God gave to these individuals, and what they do is godlike. Whether you've seen a painting by Picasso, Mozart, for me, when you reach that level, that pantheon, that is God expressing him or herself through those individuals. There have been things I've done in my film career. Sometimes I don't even know where it came from. We're talking about do the right thing.
Yeah.
The first thing that came to me about do the right thing was the title.
Wow.
Do the right thing. I didn't even know what this film was going to be about.
Wow.
Who knew the title would be Do the Right Thing? Then the next thing that came in is going to take place on this hottest day of the summer.
Wow.
And as the longer the day gets, the hotter it gets. And there's been scientific studies in New York City. When the heat goes up, shit gets crazy. Just everything escalates. And then it would end with the murder of some of the characters by the New York City Police Department. But again, it wasn't like I was sitting at home tapping a pencil on a pad. This stuff was coming in, and it wasn't me. You know, that was from the Spirit, Holy Ghost, whatever you want to call it. But here's the key. Your soul has to be open, because when that stuff comes and you're closed off, you're not going to get it. Here's a example. Remember the old TVs that had the antenna, and then if the antenna was broken, it would stick a hanger instead of the...
Yes, of course.
If we don't have our antennas up, you're not getting it. You're out of the loop. You're off circuit. And it's been my belief that I'm not up here telling you what to do with religion. I'm not talking about religion. Religion and spirituality are two separate things. You can be very spiritual and not be religious. You can be very religious and not spiritual. I'm talking about spirituality. And also, there's direct connection between our ancestors and spirituality. We forget, but once we were stolen, were our ancestors who weren't slaves, but were enslaved. When they were brought to Brazil, the Caribbean, United States of America, we were cut off from our religion, our language, a whole lot of stuff. So even though we lost that, there was still something that was mighty and joyous that we could still connect to Mother Africa.
There's a love supreme, né? Yeah. This is John Coltrane. It sounds like John Coltrane. You sound like Coltrane in a love supreme.
Love supreme. I mean, he's one of the. John Coltrane was a mystic.
Well, yes. Your movie called Mo Better Blues was supposed to called A Love Supreme?
The original title for Mo Better Blues was Love Supreme by the great John Coltrane. I think it's one of the greatest albums ever made. And Alice Coltrane, his wife, objected to the profanity and some nudity in the film. So I respected her wishes, but not to name it Love Supreme. But at the same time, though, I was very grateful that she allowed us to use that title song, Love Supreme, at the end of the film.
Yes. Let's talk about the Oscar winning that was given to you by the screenplay from Black and Klansman. And That film is a film that put a black guy with a white guy working for a cause. How do you think white people and black people can fight together to? It is possible to black people and white people fight anti-racism.
There's a long history of that. Abolitionists, the civil rights movement, the summer of 2020, where all races stormed the streets all over the world in protest to the murder of George Floyd. So there's many, many examples of the coalitions between people for the good of humanity. It's not like it never happened before. We have examples of this.
And you ended that film with a picture with a white woman that dropped there.
Had to hire.
Have hired her. So you show it to us that white people died for that.
Oh yes, many white civil rights heroes and sheroes died during the civil rights movement. But here's the thing. We have to understand, this is basic. We have to understand that powers that be don't want us to be united. They want us to be divided on many, many different levels. And it's not new. It's the same, excuse my language, it's the same motherfucking game they keep playing again and again and again. And we just have to be smarter and not go for the okie doke, because it's the same old tricks that keep us divided. We have to be smarter.